Hello, hello, hello. It is Shay Lorick here, and I am on both Facebook and Instagram right now, both on my fan pages, and we're gonna try this out today. I don't think I've ever gone live on my Shay Lorick brand page or on Instagram, so I'm hoping that this is able to be viewed, and let's just check and make sure everything is as it should be. So hello, my dangerous community. My name is Shay Lorick, and let me just put a title here on this Instagram post. And the title is The Narc Will Continue. Can't spell right now. Continue to abuse you till you do this. There we go, there we go, there we go. If you are watching, please show me signs. I don't even know if I can see comments on here. I should be able to. But yes, if you are watching, please send me a hello. There's a kid in the background. Send me um, a heart. Do something so I can know that you are here. Um, but I am so appreciative of my community, people that have been, look at my daughter, she's trying to crawl in, rocking with me um, for several months now. And if you don't know me, my name is Shay Lorg. I'm a therapist. I am a self love revolutionary. I am a life coach. I am a healer. And my mission and my goal is to educate and inform you about narcissistic abuse, but also to help you recover from narcissistic abuse. And if you have heard me, Gianna, go that way. If you have heard me speak before, you will understand that narcissistic abuse is something that is not exclusive to any one population, and mainly they go out and seek out people that are very successful, people that um, have proven to be strong individuals, people that are well educated, people that have a lot going for themselves. Why? Because it's a challenge. It's a challenge to bring down and conquer and just really kind of, not kind of, destroy the lives of those that they feel and they know that are more powerful than they. And so, if you are watching and you have experienced narcissistic abuse, I want to tell you today, don't be ashamed. Do not be ashamed, because shame is what keeps us locked into situations that are difficult to get out of. It keeps us in secrecy. And in order for you to heal, and I'm looking back and forth, it's kind of weird with two screens, but in order for you to heal, it's going to be important that you begin to tell your story, and whatever that means. That could mean reaching out to a friend or loved one for help. That could mean going to a domestic violence agency. That could mean um, joining a support group, sharing in a forum, reaching out to a therapist, a coach, a counselor. And that is the first step, is really noticing um, that you're dealing with something. You don't know what you're dealing with at first. You know that it's weird. You know that you've blamed yourself for a lot of things. You know that something is happening that is not right. But what I tell people is that You don't know that you're being abused until you know. Like, you don't know until you know. And a lot of people beat themselves up after the fact because they're like, I'm so ashamed. How did I let this happen? Um, and while there are red flags, you would definitely have to be an expert in narcissistic abuse and narcissistic personality disorder to know what you were getting into, especially because these relationships start off with love bombing. And in a future live, I will talk to you more about love bombing. I'll talk to you about conditioning, which is how you get locked in and basically addicted to the narcissist. Um, but you don't know until you know. And so, those of you that are watching, please share this live. You may not be experiencing problems getting out of a abusive relationship. You may have never been involved in a toxic or narcissistic relationship, but there may be someone on your timeline that needs this information. There may be someone that is either in a situation or coming out of a situation or has already come out of the situation, but is still dealing with the after effect, the trauma that goes along with having been exposed to a high stress, combative, chaotic situation for a prolonged period of time. So please like, share, comment. Hey, cousin. Hey, Tyler. Comment. Please share this to your pages. I'm not able to share this as I'm on my fan page, or at least I haven't figured that out right at the moment. And actually, I'm on Instagram as well, trying that out. So please, please, please share. Please share this because this is going to be some awesome information today, and I hope that you really benefit from it. So let's get started. So the narc will continue to abuse you, and maybe I wasn't on Instagram the whole time, but now I'm live on Instagram. Yes, 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 yes. Please tell my followers that I'm starting because I've already been talking on Facebook. Apparently I wasn't on Instagram. So now I'm on Instagram. Let's roll. So the topic is the narc will continue to abuse you until you do this. Again, I'm going to introduce myself real fast for the people on Instagram. My name is Shay Lorick. I am a mental health therapist. I specialize in narcissistic abuse recovery. I also specialize in addiction and recovery from mental health disorders. And I am a self-love revolutionary. I am a healer, and yeah, that's a little bit about me. But what I want to talk to you today about is the narc will continue to abuse you until you do this. And what I was saying before is that the narcissist knows no boundaries when it comes to who they choose. In fact, they go out and they seek out people that are successful, people that are goal oriented, people that are motivated, that are driven. You may have like crushed it in every area of your life. And usually you're one that is very loyal. You fight through things to the end. You probably are an empath. You probably are codependent. So you fix people, right? You show people that I can love you into certain things. So already you've been in a situation where it has been difficult for you to leave for so many different reasons, aside from the actual abuse and the shame and the guilt that they place on you to stay in the situation, the intimidation and threats. But then you decide, hey, I'm going to get out of the situation. I'm going to reach out for support. You know, you start to get your ducks in a row. You start contacting lawyers. You may reach out to a domestic violence agency and say, hey, I need some support. I need a safety plan. I need some assistance. You might talk to your family members, friends. You know, you just go out, you just do the whole, all the planning to get out of the relationship, right? And boom, you leave. You're like, you know, you're feeling, on one hand you're feeling empowered that you were actually able to make that move? Because honestly, when you're in those relationships, they say that most victims leave 7 times before they actually leave. So they'll leave, they'll have starts, they'll maybe go overnight, or they'll go for a week or maybe even a month, and then they come right back, because that's just what happens. There's all kind of mechanisms that are involved, not only internally but from the outside, from the narcissist, to draw you back in. um but when you finally leave, like when it's the last straw, when like this is it, um I want to just be really, really honest with you right now that it doesn't stop there. You see, the narcissist is not just going to let you get off that easily. Um, in fact, we would call that an injury to their ego. It's a narcissistic injury that you have empowered yourself enough to leave them. Like, they don't like that. They don't like that. How dare you leave them? Like, they get to cheat on you. Um, they get to do all manner of evil to you. They get to manipulate you, gaslight you. They get to maybe verbally abuse you. They get to physically, financially, um, socially, sexually, whatever you want, whatever type of abuse you can think of. They get to do that to you, but you have no right to leave them. No, you better not leave them. Why? Because if you leave them, that's an injury to their ego. I'm sorry, I'm going to try to share this to my normal page. That's an injury to their ego. And how dare you bruise their ego? How dare you set them up for embarrassment? How dare you do anything that goes against what they've honestly told you to do? Give me 1 second. I'm going to post this to my page, my regular page, and hope that works. That's weird. Maybe it's not. So, like I said, how dare you leave them? How dare you leave them when they're supposed to be the one to discard you? They're supposed to be the one to get rid of you. So when I say that the abuse doesn't stop, it's because in their mind, you're not entitled to leave them. They're entitled to be able to discard you at any given point. But just because you say it's over doesn't mean it's over. And then so what happens is that you've made this plan, you've gotten out, you've done everything that you needed to do in order to make sure that you're okay. And they don't like it. And so they continue to abuse you. They continue to, first things first, they continue to talk about you to other people, right? That's called the smear campaign. That's very difficult to deal with, because not only do you leave the situation, but you don't leave and you're not necessarily like all happy and giddy to leave. Why? Because you've been abused. And when you've been abused, you experience all kinds of different trauma. And we can talk about post-traumatic stress disorder in another live video or in another forum. However, I think all of you have heard that term, right? Give me one moment. I am posting this. So you're not well. You're already experiencing all manner of confusion. You're already experiencing the trauma bond of wanting to go back. Why? Because that's what you've been used to. Why? Because they're calling you, they're texting you, they're sending you emails, they're sending you Facebook messages, they're coming by, they're doing all manner of things to get you back. In the meantime, they're telling their family, they're telling your family, they're telling their friends, your friends, they're telling anybody who wants to listen that you are the one that has issues, that you're the abusive one, that you have done all these different things against them. And they are really, not only are they just talking about you, but they're further traumatizing you, because not only do you have to deal with all the things that they've done to you in the past, but this is an addition to what they've done in the past. And so the trauma just continues. They continue to provide you that intermittent abuse. So while you may get all these text messages, and you may, get flowers sent to you, or they may send you money, or do things that they would normally do in the relationship that would normally draw you back in, they'll be doing all of that, while also, when that doesn't work, they'll switch it up a little bit and they'll threaten you. Oh, I'm going to do this and this and this if you don't, if you don't come back to me. Or if you don't call off, if you've had to get a restraining order, if you don't shut down that restraining order, I'm going to do this and this and this. Or if you don't, it's like kind of a ransom type thing. I need you to do this. And if you don't, then I'm going to do something else. So again, not only are you dealing with your own internal trauma and stress responses and trying to get over what has happened, on top of getting over a failed relationship or marriage, you are also dealing with them continuing to harass, stalk, love bomb, and smear your name. It's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. But I do want to encourage you that it does end. And this is not something that you're going to experience for the rest of your life. However, the only way that you can officially shut down the narcissist is by doing this one thing. And the one thing is a very, very, very difficult thing to do. It's very difficult because, again, you're used to that intermittent abuse and then love bombing, abuse and then I want you back, abuse and then flowers, abuse and then whatever it takes to get you drawn back in. So honestly, your mind is still bonded, and we talk about the trauma bond, and a lot of people don't understand what trauma bonding is. It doesn't mean that two people come together and bond together about their trauma. It means that you are basically addicted to, you become addicted to that back and forth and that up and down. You become addicted because you've been conditioned for abuse, and then for them to heal that abuse, right? For them to come back and say, I'm sorry, or I'm sorry that you felt that way. I'm sorry it came out that way. Let's have sex, or let's go on a trip, or let me give you these flowers, or let me make it right for you, or I changed. So you're used to that back and forth, and then your brain continues that. So even though you might leave that person, your brain is still caught up in that psychological addiction. And as a substance use counselor, I put on that hat because these are very similar patterns that when we recover from anything, it's the same recovery process. So in order to break that psychological compulsion, obsession that goes along with addiction, there's only one thing that is important to do at first. How many of you have dealt with any family members, or you yourself have dealt with an addiction? And if you have, you will understand that it's not easy to just stop. It's not easy to just stop, because there's a chemical response that happens in your brain when you take a hit of something or you take a drink, right? There's a chemical response even when we talk about other disorders, addictive disorders such as addiction to pornography or sex or gambling. There's the same response, this cerebral response that happens when you haven't had something, you've been sober or you've been abstinent for maybe a day or two or a couple hours or whatever, that when you do get that hit, or before you get that hit, you're yearning for that, right? There's all kinds of different terms that we use. Cravings would be the professional term, I guess you would say. But you crave that next hit. So when you're involved in an abusive relationship, it's that same chemical reaction that when you are separated from the narcissist, that you're no longer living with them, that you're no longer involved with them, that you would have that chemical reaction that occurs to make you crave and desire that next hit or that next text or that next phone call or that next I'm sorry you didn't take what I said the right way. And no matter how much you know that those responses are toxic and just not something that you should accept, that does not stop that mechanism in your brain from occurring. That doesn't stop the addiction. And because of that, you might not be able to do what I'm suggesting that you do today, which is to go no contact. And I know what you're saying. Some of you are thinking, well, I can't go no contact because I have children. And really, that's the biggest reason why someone wouldn't be able to go no contact, other than like maybe if you share a home or something, there's still ways around it. But children are one of the main reasons why a lot of people literally can't go no contact. There may be some court decisions that provide that you be in contact with this person. And we'll talk about how to do that as well. However, no contact is equal to when we would say that someone is going to go cold turkey on cigarettes or alcohol. And what we know about cold turkey with alcohol and some of the other drugs is that, yeah, it's totally in line to say that it can be dangerous to go no contact in those with those substances because of the medical and the physiological things that happen when a substance is removed from the body. So you go into withdrawal. You may need medical detox to get off of some of those substances, and so that's why, like when I'm relating it to a more behavioral addiction, like being addicted to a narcissist, I want to make it very clear that, yeah, there can be some safety concerns with going no contact. And that's why you always need a plan in place when you get ready to leave. But once you've cleared that person it is so important for you to figure out how to disconnect yourself from that person once and for all. Number one is because you are you are never going to get away from that person. You are never going to, I just got some good news. I'm about to shout. You are never going to get away from that person if you don't disconnect. Why? Because any response to a narcissist is still a response. I don't care if you're going off on them, you're cussing them out, you're telling them you don't want them. As long as you remain in contact with that person, they think there's a chance. You heard that on some movie, so you're saying there's a chance. Hell no, I'm not saying there's a chance, but because of the way their brain works, and remember, their brain is the opposite of yours. So you, as an empath, we sometimes project how we think onto the narcissist. Well, I'm here to tell you that a disordered mind doesn't think in the same way that a non-disordered mind does. And so when you are expecting you from a narcissist, you've already set yourself up for failure. I know it's hard to think about because when your relationships, you don't you don't assume that somebody is going to have a disorder in which it's going to be so diabolical that you can't really fathom having been in relation with that person, especially if you've been in long-term relations with them. So with that being said, it's important for you not to project your way of thinking onto them, thinking that, okay, they're going to let me off easy. They're going to allow me to leave. And so it is important for you to cut them off because they will still continue to use any contact that you have with them as a mechanism to stay in control of you, in control of your responses, in control of how you feel. And you'll know that because every time they contact you, you're upset. Every time they contact you, you have a gut react, like there's a literal physiological reaction that happens, which gives you proof that they are still in your head, they're still in your psyche, they're still in your body, they're still in your energy, they're still in your vibration, they're still in your brain, and they still have that control and that power over you. And so that proves that addictive quality when it becomes that physiological response, that stress response that is caused when they contact you. So really, in order to disconnect from them and to give them, send the message to them like that you're really done, you cannot have contact with that person. The second reason why it's important to go no contact, and I think one of the most important reasons, is for you. It's for you to be able to finally emotionally detach and recover from this really serious addiction. The more you allow a narcissist to reach out to you, to have that access to you, the I'm not going to even say the more slowly you'll heal. You just won't heal. And it leaves that door open for you to eventually, I think, allow them back into your space. And because they stick in your head. They literally stick in your head. And that's why there's so much trauma involved, because anywhere you go, there's so many triggers, things that trigger you to think about them, things that trigger you to, want to go back, things that trigger you to have an emotional response. And so it's important for you to cut them completely off, like literally cut them completely off so that you can heal. Give yourself the grace to heal from that. It's no, oh, I'm going to tempt myself. I'm going to see how strong I am by leaving them on my Facebook. And then you're going and you checking their page. You going on their Instagram feed, seeing who they're with, knowing they're with another woman, but you just, you're just exposing yourself. You're tempting yourself. You're giving yourself no room to be able to disconnect from this awful situation that you've been in. And in order to heal, you've got to release yourself from that. You've got to allow your brain to settle. That's why people go into like 28-day programs, because it literally gives them time away from those environments. Some people are coming from, drug addicted environments, and we wonder, you may, in my profession, we assess, when a substance user comes in, we assess the level of care that's needed. If their home environment is, conducive to recovery, if they are, just on a mild spectrum of the disorder, we won't put them in or recommend that they be placed in a 30-day program, 28-day program. However, if the home environment is totally chaotic, if there's drugs, alcohol everywhere, if there's too many triggers, if everything in their environment points to the fact that they won't be successful in their recovery by staying in that environment, then we suggest and we recommend that they go into a facility where they can detox, but also socially detox, where they can be safe from things that will trigger them to go back. And then a lot of times when they come out of that program, they're going into a step down. So they may go into a partial hospitalization where they're in the environment, but they're also in another safe environment most of the day. Or they may go to a halfway house. They may go to an Oxford house, a safe home, a place where they can really be successful in working on their recovery. And it's the same thing when you are trying to recover from a narcissistic abuse relationship. You do not go and you can't successfully recover efficiently. I'll say you can recover very slowly if you're still there with them, but it's the best practice to go no contact, to give yourself the opportunity, because there's so many layers to healing. After you've healed from the actual symptoms of like the PTSD, the nightmares, the depression, all the things that are going on within, and you've healed from that part, then there's usually another layer of building yourself up, of self-love, self-acceptance, self-respect that you have to gain. So how can you really gain that and you're still in contact with that person? They're still in your head. They're still telling you, and you're still having a addictive response to needing them, to wanting them in your life. And you still haven't, made that first step of really acknowledging, well, maybe you go back and forth between, well, maybe they're not a narcissist or maybe they are. And then you keep just going back and giving yourself that access to them. To truly heal, you've got to go no contact. You have got to give yourself a fighting chance. And once you get over the initial depression, the mood changes, the nightmares, all the things that come along with healing from post-traumatic stress disorder, then you start to feel empowered. You start to understand that, hey, I did this. I can do this. And even if you haven't been able to go no contact, maybe you've gone gray rock, which is low contact, which is what I was going to talk about that you do when you have children with a person. So normally in a normal divorce, maybe a little conflict in the divorce, it's suggested by most courts that the parents go to a parenting class that is focused on co-parenting so co-parenting in this manner would be very business-like, right? In a normal divorce, I've had a normal divorce and I've had a hellish divorce before. But in that situation, you are going to develop the skills to co-parent in a very business-like manner. So you're not going to be discussing, the personal relationship that you have with that person. You're not going to be seeking all of these things, but you're going to be able to discuss the children, right? Their best interests. That's a word and a term that's used often in the legal system, right? What's in the best interest of the child. And that's the focus for my interaction with my ex-spouse. So let's go to a disordered, toxic, narcissistic relationship. Oftentimes it's impossible to co-parent. And I'll say most times, 99.9% of the time, it's impossible to co-parent with a narcissist to truly have a healthy co-parenting relationship. And so with Gray Rock, that gives you the opportunity to set specific boundaries, to put them in place for your protection, for your emotional protection, what we talked about, to let them also know that they don't have control and power just because you have to, email them about visitation or what have you, or finances or something to do with the children, doesn't mean that they get to dictate to you how to run your life or how to make decisions for yourself, especially if you're the custodial parent and you have that decision making power for your children. And so I think with Gray Rock, it's important that you set up parameters legally. So in your parenting plan, you need a solid parenting plan, that will leave no loopholes, because the narcissist is great at finding loopholes, great at overstepping boundaries, great at going around, great at lying to the court, great at lying to their lawyer, the judge, anybody they can lie to and manipulate, they will. So you want to have a very succinct and solid plan. There's a lot of books that you can read. There's videos on YouTube. The Narcissist Negotiator is a great YouTube channel that you can get onto, that talks and helps you to create a plan for court. But the bottom line is you want to set some strict parameters legally, but also in communication. So you don't use text. Definitely don't let them call you. Email is okay, but the court apps. So there's court apps, parenting apps that you can use that are, I think, even better, especially for those that are dealing with really, really, really toxic, malignant narcissists that continue to malign you and continue to abuse you on a daily basis. And so you want to be able to document that and have a record of that. And I think that you cut down on their abuse if you allow the court to order that you have to use those apps, because honestly, they're not going to abuse you to where it's, we'll hope some of them will, a lot will, but I think it will cut down on that. You don't give them access to call you or to email you at any time. If you see an email come across, doesn't mean you have to answer it immediately. In fact, my suggestion would be to allow their emails to go to spam. That way you check it once in a while, but honestly, if you don't need to contact them, because a lot of their emails, a lot of their contact has nothing to do with the children. It mainly has to do with you. And so in order to cut down on those things, in order to keep yourself safe when you do have to contact them, you want to have those boundaries. And then Gray Rock literally means that you respond in an emotionless way. Like literally, if a gray rock doesn't talk, right? A gray rock doesn't move. It's not moved by anything. It's bland, it's emotionless. And what Gray Rock does is teaches you how to further emotionally detach from your abuser. And so when they're responding in a manner, you either don't give them a response, or if they're saying anything like, do you want me to pick up the kids hour early? Yes, that's it. That's your only response. There's no yes and blah, 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 blah. Or of course not. I would never, no, you don't need to respond. You don't need to give them any power over you. So no contact, right? That's best practices. That's the best case scenario. But if you cannot go no contact, gray rock. That's emotionless. That's full of boundaries. That's full of sticking to the court orders. Don't even if you have something written, you stick to that, because any leeway you give them, I'm going to give them an extra day. Because if you give them an inch, they will take a mile. And you've experienced that your entire relationship. It's time for you to become in control of your life, right? Changing that narrative from them intimidating you and threatening you to you go on the offense. You don't have to be on the defense anymore. You play offense. You know their patterns now. You have hopefully been educating yourself about narcissistic abuse. And that's why my program, A Very Dangerous Woman, is so important in the term and just the whole idea of being dangerous is so important, because I am no longer on the defense and needing to hide and avoid. I'm taking the initiative to get a court order. I'm taking the initiative to get all these parameters set in place, because I know that you are disordered. I know that you are not capable of being healthy. And so I'm going to set this up ahead of time so that it always continues to work. I'm going to modify it as I need to when I start to perceive. But I'm going on the offense now. I'm not going to just allow anything in my life. I'm not going to allow anyone to come in and dictate to me what will happen, or to go against what I have set in order. I'm not going to allow you to get an inch because you'll take a mile. I'm not going to modify. I'm not going to overstep my own boundaries anymore, because you did that already. It's time for you to change. It's time for you to own up to your responsibility. No, it's not your fault that you were abused, but it's now your responsibility to take control of your own life, to set some boundaries, to no contact if you can, but gray rock if you can't. And period. That's it. No one can force you to respond. No one can force you to react in a negative manner unless you allow it. And when you realize that you had the power all along, baby, you're dangerous. You're dangerous. And it's not about having power over them. It's about just you coming into your own, you being your authentic self, you coming into your personal power. They will drag you through the mud every time if you give them that access. Cut them off. Cut off that supply. You are just, to them, you are just supply. You are just fueling them, fueling their ego. Cut them off. Don't give them any room. Let's go Bible. Bible says, resist the devil and he will flee from you. What does that mean? Resist in the Bible means to oppose the devil. And that's what I just said. That's being dangerous. You go on the offense. Oppose them. And that doesn't mean you going all up and tough guy and tough girl or whatever. But no, you're going on the offense. You're creating, you're setting yourself up as a warrior for you and your children, you and your legacy, you and maybe you don't have children, you have a home, you and your best interests. You were in the interest of them before, but no longer are we concerned about them, because at the point where you reach, I don't give a care about this person, because you'll get there. You'll get to the meh of, I don't even know. I don't know this man, you know, I don't know this woman. I wouldn't know this woman if they came up right now. Like, you'll forget all about them. You're going to get to that point. You may not be there now, but I'm encouraging you to implement these things because eventually you'll be glad that you did. And I need to go no contact with this person, this body right here. So we've talked about a lot today, and I want to encourage you. Like I said, I'm going to be really realistic with you. They will continue. Who took him out? They will continue to do what they do. They'll always do what they do. They'll find another person to do it too. It has nothing to do with you. But at the end of the day, you have the ability to change that narrative around you and what they'll do to you. And so go no contact. If you can't go no contact, go gray rock. Okay, I'm getting off of here because somebody's out of control right now and needing attention, I guess. But if this resonated with you, please like, love, share. I need y'all to share this. Like, this information is vital, and we're going to get to the point where I'm going to post a preview of this, but this is going to be available on a whole other platform. So y'all get this free game while you can. If you are wanting to know more about narcissistic abuse recovery, schedule a discovery call with me. I love to speak to you about how I can support you, and the programs that are available to you. But this is a season for uncovering, exposing, and then healing. All right. And so I have a safe space waiting for you. You don't have to keep going in this manner. Like, you may feel stuck right now, but trust me, you're not stuck. You are not stuck. You may feel it. I've been there. I've done that. You are not stuck, and there is a light at the end of the tunnel. I want to say this, and it's funny that as I'm on this live, I'm talking about this topic, and I'm talking about getting away and feeling unstuck. Like, I literally just got a text message of the ending of my journey. Or I'm sorry, an email that told me while I was on this live that my journey has finally ended. And it's been a year-long journey, and it's been hell, and it's been waiting and being patient, and it's been the person trying to keep it from ending and keep me in that loop. But what I want you to know is that their victory is just ahead. Just keep walking out. Keep trying. Keep understanding that you have power. You have power. Reach out to me, shaylorick.com. You can send me a private message. Let's get started. Let's get started on your journey. You don't want to be this time next year and still in the same place. Let's get started today. I love all of you. Be dangerous.